Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we're going to do this simple collage, and if you would like a real-time version of this, you can find it up now in Critique Club. I decided to look at my color cubes to get an idea for some different palettes that I might want to try. I knew I wanted to have purple and yellow, but I didn't want to just go for the first thing that came to my head, so I decided to look at some palettes, and I decided to go with kind of yellow, teal, purple, fuchsia, kind of a mix like that. So I started off with yellow ochre and buff titanium, and I'm using this is a spatula. It's kind of like a paintbrush, but instead of bristles, it's got like a silicone blade. I found these on Amazon. They're fantastic. And you just wipe them off when you're done with them, so you don't even have brushes to wash. And I wanted to have kind of a mottled background, and I love how when you apply gesso or paint like this, it kind of fills in the tooth of the canvas a bit, so you get a really, you get a smoother surface to work on, which is really handy if you're going to do any collage. I'm going to start off with some book pages here. Anytime we have a book that's destined for the trash pile because it's like not good enough to donate, then I will just throw it in my collage book pile. And if I need a book for a project, like an altered book or a book safe or something, I can use it for that, or I can use the pages for projects, or both, you know. I'm using the same brush there to apply matte medium to the back and the front of the collage pieces to get them stuck down. And you might recognize that tan paper, the tan book paper, newspaper looking stuff, is because it was the wrapping paper that my friend Michelle wrapped the Japanese stationery gift in. And I saved all those pieces, so I have all kinds of that for collage. It's really fun to use, and I think it's also kind of special when you save scraps and papers and ephemera for your artwork, because it actually has some meaning when it comes from sometime in your life that, you know, it's not just an old book you're going to throw away. It's actually something that has a little bit more of a deeper meaning, or you have more of a connection with. But anyway, that's, but you can always go to a thrift store or, you know, a library sale and, you know, find a grungy old book to repurpose. And I like how I did this before the paint was dry, so I'm actually getting some of that paint obscuring the background. So what I did here is I made a pattern of the latte. It was like a cup of latte with a spoon and a saucer, from the Food Paint Challenge over on Instagram. I'll link to that in the video description if you want to go check it out and see the reference. But it was very simple, and I wasn't really that inspired to sketch it, but I thought, you know, that might be a really fun way to use up some of my gel prints. I've been gel printing a lot lately, and the prints are piling up, and it's like, you know, I really want to use some of these. I intended to make all these prints to do collage with, so let's get to it. Now, this is a really simple way to get into collage, because you've got, basically, you just need 4 different prints here. So I've got this, I decided to use this one with kind of a flower on it for the saucer, because I like that kind of radiating starburst effect. And I'm using this, this pretty star print for the body of the mug, and I just like those different colors. They happen to work in with one of the palettes from the Color Cube, and I just kind of like that. It's like, that's a little different than what I'd usually use. I like it. It's still working with the purple and yellow that I was thinking about, but it's giving me kind of a different twist, a different spin. And anytime you can kind of draw inspiration, do it, right? Anytime if you feel like you get stuck in a rut, try, you can go online on Pinterest and you can find color palette inspiration like the Color Cubes if you don't have the Color Cubes. The creator of the Color Cube, Sarah Renee Clark, actually has an Instagram page where she will share a bunch of the different palettes, so you don't have to pay money to get inspired. It is a really great tool if you do want to purchase it, but you certainly don't have to get that sort of idea. So I'm basically going through and paper piecing the latte together, and I know this is kind of weird to watch in time lapse. And I did find that for like these darker papers, I needed to use a white transfer paper to be able to transfer the pattern. I thought about cutting it out and then laying it down on things, but I thought it'd be really hard to trace that flimsy tracing paper. And since it's clear and I can see through it, then that will work a lot better. And I just thought this was kind of, I don't know, quirky and fun, and a way to spice up kind of a plain image. But I love to take part of these challenges, and I think that's part of the reason I love the art challenges, is because everyone gets the same image and then you put your own spin on it. And sometimes it's the simplest images that make you the most inspired, because it's like you have a little bit of a guardrails, right? I think creativity with no limits is really difficult. Creativity with some limits is much easier, because, you know, you've got to you've got a foundation already, you just need to improve upon it, right? You're not building the table from scratch. You got a table, you're just going to paint it, you know, kind of like that. It was really handy also to have that pattern, and that pattern is available in Critique Club. It was really handy to have that because I could lay it over my work as I pieced it together. Now for glue, I'm just using matte medium. This happens to be by Royal and Langnickel. Any matte medium or Mod Podge should work fine. I do like this thicker matte medium because it does grip and marry the papers together. And gel prints can be a little unwieldy because you're dealing with layers of acrylic paint on different papers. This was all printed on the Blick sulfite drawing paper, which I love for prints, but it can get kind of cockled, and having a thicker matte medium or gel medium will kind of grip it and bond it. You could also use like a tacky glue, I think, as well. Now, I've had this stencil for ages. This is by Deco Art Americana, and I've also seen this stencil on Amazon from a different company. I think it's kind of like it's probably like a public domain type of sign, I guess. But you can find all sorts of like cafe or farmhouse or coffee, or, I mean, there's so many stencils like this in different packs that are quite affordable if you want to. This one was kind of expensive, but yeah, there's lots of different options. And I'm using a cosmetic sponge to stencil and also to antique the edges. And then I just rinsed out these sponges when I was done, and they're good as new. So they're not disposable. I mean, I think they're designed to be disposable, but they don't have to be. Granted, they're not expensive, but it takes literally 5 seconds to rinse them out. Just rinse them, squeeze them, rinse them till the color comes out, and you're good to go to use them again. So why waste your money? Why, pollute the planet, right? Yeah, and fewer trips to the store, fewer Amazon boxes on your doorstep. I think that's a good thing. I also had these really cool coffee ring stencils from Club Scrap, and they were secondhand. And the neat thing was, so I got to give you this tip. Go through your stuff from time to time. I went through all of my stencils last week. There was something I wanted to watch on TV, and so I grabbed my big bins of stencils, brought them upstairs into the living room floor, and I just spread them all out. And I saw stencils that I completely forgot I had because I bought some big stencil packs and I didn't realize all the good ones that were in there. I just was finding myself going for the same stencils over and over again. And so I thought, well, I got to see how I'm storing these because I'm not seeing most of what I have. And it just took getting them all out of the box. I wiped down the box because it was pretty dusty and gross in there, and organized my stencils by size, and really found some gems, and also pulled out the ones that I thought would be better for dabbing paint through, like the coffee rings. I'm like, why are those in my gel print stencils? Those are ones I'm going to use like in a collage like this, where I'm kind of adding paint through it on a canvas or on a paper or something. So kind of sorting your tools by how you use them is a really great way to do it. So again, I'm using the silicone brush to apply a really thick layer of the matte medium on the back of the coffee cup, and I was still having a hard time having it stick down, and I think it's because I needed a good coat of that underneath. So it's like you need to coat the back of your collage piece as well as the canvas or the paper or the substrate that you're sticking it onto, so that it's really going to bond well. So I used a lot of matte medium. So if you're finding that your papers are cockling a lot or they're not bonding, you're having edges stick up, especially if you're using thick cardstock weight paper or jelly prints, stuff that's got a little bit of a warping to it anyway, just because of the nature of it, use a thicker matte medium and use more. And then I'm just using a bristle brush here, just a Taklon brush, to brush out and make it an even tooth, because I know I'm going to want to go over this with pastels. Now you could use soft pastels, you could use oil pastels, you could use colored pencils, you could use watercolor crayons, you could use art crayons, really anything you want. You could use paint for that matter. You don't, anything really. I'm taking a piece of parchment paper, putting it over the front and laying the canvas face down to dry with a book on top of it. And I put some plastic wrap in there to protect the book from moisture. And then I saved the plastic wrap and the parchment paper for the next time I need to do this. Again, just because it's disposable doesn't mean you can't get more life out of it. If it's still in good shape, figure a system where you can store things like that. Like I have a big cutting mat on my table. I can stick parchment paper underneath. I can stick a piece of saran wrap underneath, and it just lays flat until I'm ready to use it again. There's no need to throw it away if it's not gross and dirty and gonna mess up your next project. Matte medium is gonna dry, it's clear, it's not gonna mess up your next project. And plus I didn't even get matte medium on the saran wrap. Anyway, off my soapbox for the moment. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. Not saying I'm perfect. Not judging anybody else, but I like to save you money and I like to do things that are good for the planet. So now I'm just going in with these glorious pastels. These are the Neo pastels from Caran d'Ache. I bought them, a few months ago. I bought some last year, open stock, like probably about 10, and I just fell in love with these. They're a harder pastel. They're not as hard as the Neo Art crayons. Those are more of a crayon. These are an oil pastel. They're probably about the same hardness as the Pentel pastels, and I just really like them. They're very opaque. They're really high quality. I'm using a silicone tool here to kind of fill in the tooth and smudge the pastels around because I used a clear Liquatex gesso on the surface here. It's rough, and it can kind of damage the skin on your fingers if you go rubbing it in with your fingers. So I like the silicone tools for that. And basically I am just trying to assign values and colors to this. So in the reference photo, which I will link down below, it's a clear mug that's got a latte in it, and it's got a little foam on the top. I decided not to do the foam. And it's got a silver spoon and it's got a white saucer, and the photo is fine, but I just thought that I wanted to do something a little more colorful, a little more interesting, and I wanted to draw from the colors that were on these gel prints. So think outside of the box when you're looking at a reference photo, especially if it's one that's kind of simple or plain. Think of how you can amp it up and make it more your style, like I did here. I'm bringing in some yellows because of the yellow in the background, but at a higher saturation. I'm basically looking at the values. Where are the shadows? That's where I want to have the values. Where are the highlights? And I'm avoiding using black and white until the very end because I want to see what sort of range of value and depth I can get with the colors. So I had a very soft shadow underneath the edge of the saucer in the front, and then I had a bolder shadow on the upper left side because the light is kind of coming in from the right. But whenever you have a still life situation, there's always multiple light sources, and you kind of have to pick your battles. You kind of have to decide what's going to be your primary shadow and kind of go from there. Otherwise, it's going to look kind of weird. But I did like that little ambient shadow at the bottom, and I felt like it could lift the cup off the edge. And yes, I see it. I see how wonky the saucer is. The saucer is very wonky. I have my canvas propped up on a book there to kind of avoid glare. Now let me tell you, I bought this circular polarizing lens filter for my camera. A viewer suggested that it would be really helpful to reduce glare, and the most helpful thing about that purchase has been the box that it came in that I've been propping my painting up on. I did use it for a few of the clips at the front, but I don't know. I think where filming top down on my desk, it's not as helpful as I had hoped it would. But I'm hoping it will work on my easel when I do some easel painting later on. But anyways, that's a brief aside. I'm scumbling in some of the pastels into the background as well, knocking back some of the stenciling to give the coffee cup a little bit more prominence. The cup didn't have a handle, and I kind of wish I put a handle in because it is kind of strange without a handle. But then again, I think I kind of like how unique it is. I thought I would do some foam and sketch it in with colored pencils, but I didn't like that. And then I didn't want to cover up my gel print there, but when I just did part of it with the oil pastels, because there was kind of like a metallic paint on that gel print, it just looked weird. So what I recommend doing, and what I did here, was after I got the coffee painted in, I actually set my canvas up on a shelf, and I went up to the other side of the room, and I just looked at it, and I thought about it, and I looked away from it for a while. Then I looked at it again, and having that bit of a break from it let me see what I needed to do. So when I come back here, I'm noticing the middle, yeah, that's too bright. So it's just too different. The texture's too different. So I took just a brush with some odorless mineral spirits on it, and I knocked back I spread out the oil pastel and knocked back some of the really strong texture there. So it would just kind of give the impression of like a coffee with some cream in it, just kind of swirling around in there. And I'm using a China marker, which is kind of like a crayon, really. It's softer than a colored pencil in general. You peel back the paper to get the pigment out. And I'm using that in my shadows to kind of deepen them and desaturate them a little bit where they seem a little too vibrant. And for the real tight shadows, I will use a color pencil, a Prismacolor color pencil, to get in there real tight where I need to, just to do an edge here and there. But I find that you can't lay down as much pigment on top of the oil pastels with a colored pencil. It's more for just getting your edges and your details, but a China marker will do pretty well. And I completely regretted putting the black inside the spoon there, so I'm going back in with some oil pastel. This was I think this is quite a simple project, honestly, and I really think if you follow the steps, it's going to look great. And you probably don't need to see the real-time tutorial to be able to follow along, but I mean, it's there in Critique Club if you want it, if you want to do it real time with me. I think a lot of times with a project like this, you spend a lot of time thinking and deciding, but at the end of the day, I think it just works when you you start off with a base color, collage some neutrals, add some stenciling, paper piece a focal point, add accents with oil pastels. It's a pretty good formula for success, I think. Now here what I'm doing is taking a really soft oil pastel. This is one of the jumbo ones from Paul Rubens, very similar to the Sennelier oil pastels, and I'm using a palette knife to pull off white and just add it where I want my bright flashes of highlight. And then to seal this, because I always get asked, I will let it set up, like firm up for a day or so, and then I'm going to coat it with matte Minwax polyacrylic varnish, which is a water-based varnish, and that's going to seal down the oil pastel and it will be fine. I have paintings hanging in my kitchen for over a year and there's been no cracking, nothing has gone wrong with them, and that's how I seal my oil pastels, and it is just great. It is such a works a treat, and it's pretty affordable. So I hope you give that a try if you've struggled with that, especially in sketchbooks. I'll have a link to Critique Club in the video description if you want to paint along in real time, as well as the products that I used in this project. But please feel free to substitute, give this project a try, and have fun. Thanks for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.